The Epstein files are a hoax. They were created by Obama. I'm not going to say who it was, but it was Mossad. And I'm going to prove it formally tonight. Some of the Epstein files are real, just not the ones that I'm in.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. No, it's too late.
Oh my God.
I'm in Portland. They're everywhere. So thank you all for coming back. You thought that was really funny, so just letting you know I'm killing in the front row. We're also shooting a mini special in pieces. That would be a good show name for this. Parts. Yeah. I majored in applied mathematics. That's why I'm doing comedy at an auto shop right now. Somebody asked me, Sammy, what was the hardest kind of math that you studied in college? And the answer is something called complex analysis. Its name says it all. And if you're not familiar with complex numbers, it's complicated. The truth is, we all learn complex numbers in high school. You just might not remember them, again, because of the trauma. But you remember roughly in elementary school around the time when you learned how to take square roots? At some point, you came into math class and your elementary school teacher was like, okay kids, today we're gonna learn how to take square roots. All you do is you put this number under a little house and out comes another number that's unhoused. And you're like, that's kind of up. I know, Portland is a little weird about unhoused jokes, I get it. I'm from San Francisco, relax. I have a friend who doesn't even like being called unhoused. He's like, I'm anti-establishment. So you put the number under the little square root and out comes another number. And it's just like super fun. It's like the square root of 4 is 2, yay! The square root of 9 is 3, woo! The square root of other bigger numbers are other bigger numbers, you know? And you're like, this is fun, I could do this my whole life, you know? That's what I thought at least. And then the teacher's like, well, have fun with it. Just whatever you do, don't take the square root of a negative number. And you're like, I wasn't going to. Why did you say that? Well, just don't do it. You can't do it. You can't take the square root of a negative number, so don't do it. I'm like, oh, I didn't want to until now. I really want to do it. Why can't you take the square root of a negative number? Because you can't. Because you put a negative number under there and nothing comes out. Because you can't do it, so don't even try. I'm like, wow, who gave you this teaching job? But you just accept it. You just have to accept that you just can't take the square root of a negative number. But you know, it's a weird moment, but you bury the trauma. You don't really ask questions, right? That's what school teaches you, not to ask questions. So you're just like, oh, just like, all right, you can't take the square root of a negative number. You put the trauma under your square root. You just shove it down. And then you go on with your life, you keep bearing more and more trauma, and now you're in high school a couple years later, and you have acne now. Your hormones are raging. You really have a great life, relatively, but you're not aware of it, so you hate yourself and everyone around you. Portland, you can relate to that. So now you're in high school, and your high school math teacher walks in one day and says, all right, kids, today we're going to take the square root of -1. And you're like, the f*** you are. You're like, is my teacher on drugs? You can't do that. Everybody knows you can't take the square root of a negative number. Your teacher's like, why would you think that? Because my elementary school teacher said so. And I believe everything my elementary school teacher says. And your high school teacher laughs. You were lied to. You've been lied to this whole time. Because you can take the square root of a negative number. And we're going to do it today. Like, don't do it. The world's going to explode. Nope, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to take the square root of -1. You're like, oh my God, this is so scary. What is it? What is the square root of -1? Is it 1? She's like, no. Like, is it 100? No. What is it? She's like, it is I. You're like, all right, the teacher's for sure on drugs, dude. This teacher's on ketamine. I need to call the principal right now. Who is it? It is I. It is you? No, it is I. Like I, like a capital I? No, lowercase I. What the f is going on? And there's a definitive day. I don't know if you remember it or not, because maybe you blocked the trauma, but it's the day that you learned that you can, despite what you were told previously in life, take the square root of negative numbers. And when you take the square root of -1, you don't even get a number. You just get a letter. Which makes no sense. And it's just a lowercase I, which we don't even do in language. And that's the day your whole life changes. That's the day you realize your whole life was a lie. You were built on lies, on assumptions that you could never take the square root of a negative number. But apparently you can, and it's I. And my life changed. I was just looking at myself in the mirror like, who am I? Who am I? And it's like, what is this mysterious I, and why am I feeling this type of way? What does I even stand for? Israel. I'm kidding, obviously, but some would say it's imaginary too. It's a long way to get to that punchline, but I took you on that journey. But really, the day I learned about imaginary numbers was just like the day I learned about Israel. Nothing was going to be the same after. But it is weird. Suddenly, you can take imaginary numbers by finding the square root of a negative number. And apparently, these are also numbers you can work with, imaginary numbers. They're basically multiples of I. So you have I, or 2I, or 3I, or 4 I's. That was my nickname. I was like, this is so f***ed up. This whole time, you told me you can't take the square root of a negative number, and you also told me that my imaginary friends weren't real. But turns out they were just the square root of my negative friends. And as if that's not enough trauma, apparently you can combine imaginary numbers and real numbers. You add them together and you get something called complex numbers. So 2 plus 3I is a complex number. 4 plus 5I, these are complex numbers. The whole time you're just like, why the f*** are we doing this? And then you don't find out till way later. If you study like 20 math courses in college, you don't find out till way later. The reason we do that is because you can solve crazy problems that you weren't able to solve by just using real numbers. So for instance, polynomials, okay? You guys are poly, right? Makes a noise? Yeah, there are nomials that are poly. They have a lot of love to give. A polynomial, for most of you, is one of those expressions that has exponents of x in it. So like 3x squared plus 2x plus 3 equals 0. And then you solve for x. That's basically a polynomial equation. And sometimes you can't always solve for x. But once you introduce complex numbers, apparently you can solve them every time. And yeah, you should know this, especially if you're poly. And yeah, so, and I personally like exponents because they speak truth to power. But what I'm saying is you can do a lot. You can do a lot with complex numbers. And I know you guys haven't been traumatized enough to appreciate it, but I appreciate it. Lowercase I appreciate it. And one day, all you 500 plus I will appreciate it. And so I studied complex numbers for 5 years, and that's why I'm doing stand-up comedy now, because where the f*** do you go from there? I read this recently. Did you know the biggest indicator of how much money you make in your career is how many math classes you took in college? Yeah, some of you guys are f***ed. A lot of humanities majors in here. I can feel the vibe. The more math classes you took in college, the more money you make in your career based on statistics, which is another course. I took 23 math classes in college. Yeah, 5 of which were statistics courses in which I learned about something called outliers. Yeah. And if you don't get that joke, don't worry, it just means you're normal.
She knows math.
Yeah, I know. This. Some people are having a lot of fun right now. Some people are like, I pray to God. Like some of you guys believe in God now. You're like, I pray to God. This is over soon. Almost. We're almost done with the educational part of the show. Another stat. There was a stat that came out last week that said that 1 out of 10 Americans is now a millionaire. Yeah, that's crazy. Literally 10% of America is millionaires now. They say it's because of the way that people are able to invest nowadays, because of the way that a lot of people are entrepreneurs. I would argue inflation probably plays a role too. What is as many millionaires in the 80s? But yeah, so, we've been talking about the 1% this whole time, but look out for the 10%. They're here. And I will be part of the 10% when my parents die. And just letting you know, I won't be able to be trusted then, okay? But I've always been slowly increasing my net worth. I've been doing it with this little life hack that a lot of people don't know because they didn't take accounting classes. But when I had the privilege of taking an accounting class in college. Anybody here take an accounting class? Okay. Oh, equal number of people on both sides. You got the debits on the left, credits on the right. That's an accounting joke, don't worry. But in accounting, you learn about this thing called the accounting equation, very creative name. And the accounting equation states that assets equals liabilities plus equity. So the assets, the total assets of a person or a company is equal to the sum of all the liabilities they have, the debt that they have, plus the equity they have, the stock. So that's a little life hack if you want to increase your net worth. Just rack up a ton of debt and sell stock in yourself. So that's what I've been doing the last 10 years. I borrow $200 from my dad every week, and I reinvest it into my LLC, Sammy Corp. It's an S Corp. And, oh, you guys got that joke. That's cool. And my net worth has been going steadily up. Just borrowing the out of my parents. I try to keep up with the news. It's very difficult because the news cycle moves so fast. Like this year, we're at like the highest frequency, but like not in a good way. Things that weren't even supposed to be main events were main events. Like the Super Bowl halftime. That was something like we were talking about for a long time, both because of the performance and also because of the protester. Like that was an event within an event. It was like layered. It was wild. And like it's crazy that this year we saw a famous person in the public eye point directly at another famous person and be like, he likes them young. And it was crazy when Elon did that to Trump. It was crazy. It was so crazy. He straight draked him. And I'm no Elon fan, but you gotta admit, I mean, he's the only one who's actually trying to do the private detective work at this point. He's like our Special K detective, Special K unit. Snorting ketamine like, oh, we're gonna find the Epstein files! And we're at the point now where you've seen enough pictures of Trump with Epstein to know he's in that. Like, there's enough pictures that aren't AI to be like, yeah, he's in that shit. And we've seen Trump lie before, but like the way he's lying right now is like desperate. It's like super desperate. Like his stories aren't even lining up in a way even worse than imaginable. Like 3 weeks ago when everybody was like, you're in the Epstein files, aren't you? He's like, the Epstein files are a hoax. They were created by Obama. It's like, yeah, that was Obama's whole purpose. Came straight from Kenya to make the Epstein files. It's like, why would Obama even want to push the Epstein files? Like, all his friends were on there, you know what I mean? Well, at least one of them, hashtag Bill Clinton. It's a very small circle in Washington, or small oval, I should say. But yeah, so that was Trump's whole thing. He's like, it's a hoax, the Democrats made it up, it's a hoax. And then everybody's like, no. And then so a week later, he's like, all right, fine. Some of the Epstein files are real, just not the ones that I'm in. That was his official statement. He literally walked back and said, okay, fine. Some parts of the Epstein files are real and some parts are imaginary. Combine them together, that's the Epstein files. Like, no, that's complex numbers. Bro is literally trying to use complex analysis to f up our minds. He's like 3 plus 4I for me, that's me, the I. And it's also Israel in this case too. Because he's also covering for Israel. And that's why I just like complex numbers. When you look into this other dimension of what's actually in the Epstein files, it actually explains a lot of shit. Because we know for a fact that Epstein was gathering intel. Like he had cameras in all of his homes. Like that's not something just a regular perv does. You know what I mean? Like, and he was a creep for sure. I'm not saying he was a creep, but he also worked for intelligence. And I'm not going to say who it was, but it was Mossad. It was Israeli intelligence, Mossad. But I can't say it too much. I don't want to get into legal trouble. So let's just say he was a creepy guy who enjoyed massages. He was not good to women. He was a misogynist. Don't hate me for delivering the message, okay? I'm saying. We know this guy worked for Intel. The question is who? And all signs point to Mossad. But when you make these allegations, people tell you you're a conspiracy theorist. You know, but it makes too much sense. And the problem with conspiracy theorists, and I love conspiracy theorists, like bless their heart, okay? Someone has to do the Lord's work. But conspiracy theorists are not great at presenting information in a way that logical, rational minds can process. And that's why too often conspiracy theories get kind of lost in the dust. So I'm going to help clarify this tonight at this automotive shop here in Portland, Oregon. And that is that I'm going to prove that Jeffrey Epstein was working for Mossad. He was working for Israel. I'm not claiming that he was Israeli, because he was not Israeli. He grew up in Brooklyn, and he was a creep. I'm not saying he was not a creep. He was always creepy. He was always known to be very touchy-feely, but also he went to an Italian high school, so maybe, I mean, it's not an excuse. I'm just saying, I can say that I'm part Italian. Mamma mia. He was a very touchy-feely guy. And Epstein, he never graduated high school, and he went to college early, and he studied advanced math. We don't claim him. We're not proud of this at all. But he studied advanced math, which makes us even creepier for some reason. Because he's like, oh, I didn't know their age. Like, you can subtract, motherfucker. Like, we know, you know math. But he studied physiological math. That's like the creepiest math out there. Physiological math is the math of the human body. Ugh. Yeah, if you see somebody wanting to study physiological math, like flag that person. That person is a threat. And then he never even graduated. He went on after that to become a physics teacher, which is another red flag. Because when I heard that, I thought about it. I remember in my high school, there was 2 physics teachers who were both sex offenders. That's enough for me to make a conspiracy theory now. I have 3 data points. That's enough. That's enough for a correlation for sure. Yeah. Physics teachers, they get physical, okay? I'm not saying all physics teachers are creeps. I'm not saying that they all force themselves on people. I'm just saying they mass times acceleration themselves onto people. This theory's good. It'll gain momentum pretty soon. It's important. Once you understand the weight, once you understand the gravity of this theory, you'll take it seriously. So we know Epstein was a creep, and we know he was American. That's where the creeps are made, okay? So I'm not claiming he was Israeli, but I am going to claim he was an Israeli asset, meaning he was working for Israel. He was collecting intel for Israel, and I'm going to prove it formally tonight. So, thank you, one person. Because this has not been done by any conspiracy theorist or any stoner out there, okay? I literally had to really put this together in a logical, grounded argument. Here's why we know that Epstein was an Israeli asset. Okay, so Epstein, he got rich all of a sudden after his teaching job, believe it or not. He left being a physics teacher because it doesn't pay apparently. And he became a consultant, which is not a real job. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry if that offends any consultants in here, but if you have a problem with it, let's talk after the show. You can bill me after. It's a great business model you have. And he became a consultant, and this is when he started to be introduced to very high-profile people. He met people in the Pentagon and he started working overseas. One person he notably worked with was Adnan Khashoggi. Jamal Khashoggi is the other guy who got killed, who was Adnan's actually nephew. I talked about this in my last special. Look it up, it's funny. It's not funny, it's actually scary. So Epstein worked with this guy named Adnan Khashoggi, who was a figure in Saudi Arabia, and they worked together to finance a military operation, which was called the Iran-Contra affair. This was a really big deal in the 80s. The Iran-Contra affair was where Israel was funneling weapons into Iran to stir up a regime change, which is not relevant to now at all. History does not repeat itself. Nothing to see here. But even back in the 80s, they were trying, still at it. And Epstein was the one who helped finance that affair. And so he had to work directly with Israeli intelligence. So clearly he was introduced to Mossad. He worked with Mossad. He financed an Israeli intelligence operation. And suddenly he got very rich after that. His net worth went up, okay? And after that, he got even richer when he met a man named Leslie Wexner, who was the CEO of Victoria's Secret, which a perv would want to work with. And Leslie Wexner was a known Zionist. He had a lot of stock with Israel and Israel's economy. And when Epstein started to work with him, he suddenly got a lot richer. Then Epstein was introduced to Ghislaine Maxwell, which I don't know if you've heard of this lovely woman. She was Epstein's accomplice in the whole sex trafficking scandal. It's been proven, it's been documented, and they say Epstein's dead, obviously, and they say Ghislaine's in jail. I don't even think Ghislaine's in jail, to be honest. I actually bumped into her at the store last week. Yeah, she was like, "Pardon me." I was like, "No, thank you." And so right around the time that Epstein is gaining momentum and gaining money from these investments, he meets Ghislaine Maxwell, who is the daughter of Robert Maxwell, who was a known Mossad asset and had also a lot of stock in Israel. In fact, he was buried in Israel. That's how much he loved it. And so Robert Maxwell, he died of natural causes. He mysteriously fell off his yacht one day. And suddenly Epstein got very rich shortly after. So again, nothing to see here. But yes, those were basically the three moments where Epstein suddenly got a lot of money, and then he used that money to basically fund buy a lot of cameras. Cameras are very expensive. So we know that the money he used for this operation, this intel operation, was leveraged by Israel. At the same time, he became acquainted with a lot of very powerful people, and very powerful people who were associated with Israel in some way. For instance, the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. Not Ehud Barack Obama, that's a different Kenyan. But Ehud Barak, who is the former Prime Minister of Israel, who became buds with Epstein and was actually seen many times on camera approaching Epstein's apartment and walking in, and he would always wear a mask, like one of the surgical masks. And this was pre-COVID, so just shows this was trying to hide. Isn't that crazy? This guy got caught on camera going into Epstein's house only to be recorded on more cameras. This guy had no idea what was going on. So Epstein worked with him, former Prime Minister of Israel. Also Bill Clinton. A lot of pictures of Clinton with Epstein. It's not a good look. And Clinton, obviously, very tied to Israel. He was brokering all those deals in the 90s. Alan Dershowitz, who's Israel's lawyer, who was also Epstein's lawyer, and then a bunch of other prominent people who, let's face it, most of them are Zionists anyways. And he was associated with all these people who were directly tied to Israel. However, all of these people who he was associated with, as soon as they started hanging out with Epstein and doing all these God knows what behind closed doors, Israel started to distance themselves from these people. So you can look it up. Israel started to distance itself from Ehud Barak, from Bill Clinton, and from anybody that Epstein was associated with. I wonder what they knew. Because these people posed a reputational risk for Israel, which says a lot. If you're threatening Israel's reputation, you've really f***ed up. These were all Epstein's friends. They were all reputational risks for Israel. And so that's why I can make this formal proof. Because Epstein got all of his money from having stock in Israel. And he knew all these people who were liabilities to Israel. And liabilities plus equity equals assets. Epstein was an Israeli asset. I know. There's a lot of information I'm accounting for.
Until next time, be safe and keep finding joy wherever you can. Thank you.